Hey everybody, this is Dr. Charlton here. Today I want to take a moment to talk about in-depth interviews. So in-depth interviews are something that are really popular right now in the startup world, and I also am a big fan. I've found that our students can get really good insights from doing one-on-one in-depth interviews. Some of the more traditional methods used by marketing research include focus groups and surveys. And I personally have not seen the students get the same depth of insight from those types of formats as they do from in depth interviews. So we're going to focus on in depth interviews for now. So there's a couple things to keep in mind. First of all, in the Talking with Humans book, it gives a lot of ideas and things that you can do and apply to make it better. I'm going to try to summarize some of those ideas right now. So let's say the person buys a new car and you're going to interview them, and your goal is to understand their process. Maybe you want to understand why they chose this brand and not that brand, or why they chose to buy it at this location, or how they selected what options they like. But you're not going to go straight there. I would start by telling them, take me back to the time when you first realized that you maybe had a need, or that you might need to get a new car, or might want to get a new car. Take me back to that time and tell me what was going on in your mind, what was going on in your life at that point in time to push you in that direction. And then let them tell stories, and they might answer a lot of questions you might have just by just telling you organically what happened. So all you really asked is, take me back to the start. Now, a lot of times the conversation will die out fairly quickly, so you're going to ask a lot more questions. I would encourage you to avoid yes and no questions. You want to ask open-ended questions so that they can tell you a story and give you a lot of rich detail. If you ask yes, no questions, your interview is going to be very choppy. It's not going to flow, and you're going to not get the insights that you want. So try not to ask questions that are yes, no. Ask things that are just so open-ended where you can get the stories. Sometimes it's as simple as just like a couple words, just like, can you elaborate? Can you clarify? Can you say more about whatever? And just try to dig into it. If there's something that they're talking about and there's sort of like an unsaid detail, um, or like an implied detail, ask them, push them to talk more about it. This type of interviewing for marketing research is very similar to what a reporter would do on a talk show when they interview somebody. So we have to have good journalistic technique. The other thing I wanted to say is, we want to avoid speculation. So you don't want to ask them. This is what happens with focus groups a lot. So a focus group, if you don't know, is where you have like 6 or 8, 10 people in the room, and then you have a moderator who asks questions, has people handle the product. One thing that happens a lot with focus groups is they get very speculative. Like if the product doesn't apply to certain people, then it's kind of like everything is very hypothetical. Like, well, if I was somebody else, then I would like this product. But then it gets to the point where they're almost just giving you business advice and not really telling you what they think as an actual consumer. So you want to focus right on their actual experiences and how they would use it. So avoiding the hypothetical, like what would you do if, so that's one thing that is really important. It's a little bit of a difficult skill to obtain. Now, the most critical part of the interview is that you need to obtain insights. If you're interviewing somebody about their car purchase, you're probably trying to understand how they chose a given car company, how they chose the retailer or the car dealer that they bought it through. So you want to learn about their whole process. It should be interesting to you. You should learn new things about how people think and how they shop. If you're not learning new things and if it's not interesting, then you're probably not asking the right questions, and you're not going to have the insights that you need. So you need to obtain insights from this. We're going to be doing interviews on behalf of the client this semester. We need to be, getting stuff from these interviews, and from all our methods that we do, we need to be gaining insights. So an insight, just to clarify, is something that is interesting, that's novel, like it's something they haven't thought about. It's something that you obtain through your analysis, your in-depth interviews or systematic analysis or whatever kind of approach you're going to do. You're able to have this deep insight. So it's like, it's like, tell me what you learned. And so when you're reporting on this for a grade and when you're working with the client, it's not enough just to show that you did the interview. It doesn't, that's not the goal. The goal is insights. So you need to show me interesting, cool things that you learned that can help us do a better job with the client project. So we're going to practice this in class, but I just wanted to go ahead and reiterate these points. And I think it will make a lot more sense to you when we do it hands-on. But this is basically, I've explained how to do an unstructured, in-depth one-on-one interview. Typically, we like to record it because that way we don't have to like memorize or take feverishly taking notes. We can just have it available so that we can have the whole transcript there. So if we need to refer back to something, a lot of times it's really good to take out some quotes to show the client. So if you have the recording, then you have the exact quotes, which is really a good thing to have available for the client. The other thing is, in-depth interview. It should be done in person, or in person is the most optimal. Number 2 is Zoom or like video conferencing. Number 3 is a phone, and it just keeps going down the list. What you really don't want to do is the email interview where you're just going back and forth. You're not going to get what you need to out of the interview through that method. It needs to be like vocal, it needs to be synchronous so that you can obtain all the insights that you're looking for. If people start telling stories during an interview, just let them talk as long as it's somewhat relevant to the topic, and they will give you a lot of ideas, things that you hadn't thought about, things that are useful for you. So I've gone over several things here. All these things that I've said are consistent with what you'll see in Talking to Humans, the book, and also in the other materials that I've included in the course software. So it's not anything new, but I'm just trying to keep re-emphasizing it so that you can have that muscle memory. So good luck on your in-depth interviews, and please let me know if you have any questions.